Hello there. Welcome to Jedi the Mailman, show where two old friends aim to deliver the best Star Wars talk in the galaxy. I'm Mike the Mailman. That up there is Jimmy the Jedi. That up there is Mr. Joshua Patton, back to join us again for another lovely chat. How are we doing,
Hey,
gents?
gang.
How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing great. Happy to be back with you guys. To be made to feel old. It's been 10 years since
It's crazy,
we got
isn't it?
the third wave of Star Wars.
Wow,
Man,
it's nuts. Absolutely insane.
Mike, what are we here to talk about?
Well, we're here to talk about stuff.
Yeah, stuff. Go stuff.
Like Joshua said, it's been 10 years since Force Awakens. Jeez. We're a bunch of old guys. Yeah, 10 years since The Force Awakens came to theaters, and we're just here to reminisce about those days.
Fun times. So how's everyone's doing well? Steelers got that win.
Yes,
Sure
they
did.
did.
That
They
just
looked like
means
professional football players.
This means on Sunday when we get throttled by the Detroit Lions,
Yes,
we'll all be like,
more than likely.
I can't see this happening. We just played so well against the amazing Dolphins.
Same old story.
I don't know. I feel like it's the Steelers' year, guys.
You think so?
Sure, why not?
Every week they get older and older. And
Nice.
I mean, who are we to argue against old?
No, yeah, for sure not. But 10 years. So let's start because Josh, you have an article that you wrote last year because it was the 10th anniversary of the release of the trailer, the little teaser trailer we got.
Yeah, the Black Friday teaser.
That's when that came out, huh? On Black Friday.
Yeah. Now, before we start, I do want to know, now back when I wasn't actually covering entertainment then, I was still a regular news reporter. So all the stuff that I was hunting had nothing to do with work, just purely for my own enjoyment. Were you guys online looking at the spoilers, the leaks, stuff like that, or were you just passively waiting for Star Wars to come back?
Jimmy?
I was not. I hate spoilers and leaks and things like that. Even now, given what we do, in our involvement in the Star Wars, I still don't like to know that stuff ahead of time because, we reported on something with Mando and Grogu. We had this whole synopsis. Turns out the whole damn thing is fake that we read out the other day. So it's like until we see it, until Lucasfilm tells us, but I don't know if you really needed it when we got that trailer because nobody knew any. I mean, I watched the trailer because I was reading your article today, and
that article was a lot better than the last article.
What's that?
I said this article was a lot better than the last article that we.
Well, I'm not going to say anything, mean. But you were so positive, man. But I clicked on the link that you had because you had the trailer on there, and I'd sit there looking at that stuff and you didn't know who anybody was. It was awesome.
Yeah.
You didn't need any, and it's so much fun. Everyone's speculating and just. I mean, I think you talked about it in your article. It's just it was a fun time, and our main topic was kind of similar to what we're talking about tonight as well. So I'm going to give you guys the floor most of the time, but it was just such an optimistic, fun time in the Star Wars universe, Star Wars fandom, and then of course about a week after the movie actually comes out, a year and a week later, where we're at now. But yeah, that was pretty fun. And no, I still don't we don't follow anybody. There's a couple big spoiler people out there that just make a living doing that, and we don't follow them just for that reason. Nothing personal. I just don't want to know.
Yeah. Myself, I wasn't plugged in at all back then. I mean, this is, I guess, 11 years ago when that trailer dropped. I would have been, we've been 38, right? Yeah.
I don't do math.
Yeah. So, and Black Friday, I was still working at Walmart. So my focus would have been on Black Friday because dealing with that madness. But yeah, I wasn't, until Jimmy and I started doing this, honestly, until Jimmy dragged me into doing this, I didn't pay attention to this stuff at all.
I dragged him into
I would just go to the movies and enjoy the movies. I wouldn't sit and chat about it or speculate about it or anything like that. But yeah, like Jimmy said, just seeing that trailer that is a masterclass in how you do a trailer. Like, it gave away nothing. All it did was set your expectations, get you excited, and I didn't even remember that trailer until I watched it. I read your article the other day and watched that trailer in the link, and it brought back those memories of, wow, Star Wars is back. This looks way better than the Star Wars that we got in the prequels. You know what I mean? It's super, super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was the exact opposite. I was on Reddit, I was looking at everything, and you're right, there was so much more BS than actual truth. Like, in fact, some of that was even fun. Like, I remember, I forget what the Reddit was called. I think it was called Star Wars Leaks or Star Wars Spoilers, something like that. But like, there would be like little memes that would pop up from like fake script pages that people would write themselves, and it was this time where it was just all. It was all about potential. Everyone was sort of optimistic. There was none of this. There was none of that fandom division that, in fairness, always follows. Like, I remember people not liking Return of the Jedi back in the day, and that, that was my favorite. And the thing that I remember most about seeing that trailer for the first time, the teaser, was that, like you guys said, it was all like, who's that? Who's that? What's this? What's that? But then when it showed the Millennium Falcon flying on Jakku, I think I may even put that in the article. I don't know, but I realized
you
that
did. Yeah.
I'd been waiting my whole life to see the Millennium Falcon fly like that.
Do that. Yeah.
And in fact, I don't know if this is exactly true, but I know I never saw like reaction YouTubers before that trailer, but I remember seeing people would just react to that trailer and like crying. And it really was this thing that like brought everyone together, and it was just a halcyon time in the fandom.
Yeah, I would agree.
I probably watched that trailer. I mean, 20, 30 times. Just sat there. I remember showing my class the trailer when we got back from Thanksgiving. I'm like, guys, showing them that. And then watching that part with the Falcon over and over. I mean, I probably watched that 50 times in itself, just the fact that, and I said it on the main show yesterday, I had that as my number one thing we were talking about, and just seeing the Falcon fly like that was nuts.
Yes.
And so how people our age weren't pumped, I don't know. Like, I mean, I know there were some people out there who didn't, were never going to be happy or whatever. But yeah, that trailer was awesome. It didn't give anything away. It just kind of like, there's so much. I wish I would love to be able to have that again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
One more thing about spoilers, but like just before we move on, I understand why people had strong reactions to anything Star Wars, of course. But I know that, like, again, having followed the spoilers and the leaks, I knew long before I went and saw the movie that Han Solo was going to die and that Luke Skywalker was only in a single scene. So I went into that film ready for that. And I don't know how I would have felt if I'd have gone in not knowing that.
Yeah.
I know I'm like my mom, who was the OG Star Wars fan. She took me to see, Empire as a 1-year-old
infant.
As an infant. It took her a while. She still doesn't like Kylo Ren. She hates him because Han Solo is her guy.
So she wasn't excited about the news of the Kylo Ren movie or the Ben Solo movie then, probably. Huh?
Yeah, no, not at all.
She's happy it's dead. But yeah, to your point, Jimmy, with the I just want to get back to the Millennium Falcon real quick. Growing up as OG kids like we were, like just seeing that ship was just so magical to us. You know what I mean? And in those first three movies is essentially static. It didn't do anything dynamic at all. And in that trailer to see, and then in the movie to see what they could pull off with the Falcon, just freaking amazing.
That was
Love
crazy.
that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just lots of good stuff, but we can and then we have a year, right? We had a full year, over a year
Yeah.
before the movie came out. And I think you outlined kind of how we got teaser trailers and we got some behind the scenes stuff. Not like it is now where they show us the whole damn movie before. Like for the Rise of Skywalker, do you remember how many clips we were getting a day? Like it was like every couple hours we were getting another. They fly now, and all. I mean, all these different
Yeah.
pieces. Like
Mhm.
I'm like, why are you showing us so much of the movie? Like, what is going on? The whole opening scene was out already. I'm like, I just didn't understand why they did that for those
Oh, they
movies.
did.
And then,
I'm pretty sure they did that because Solo was the first flop. Like they released
So,
Solo in a bad
yeah.
way. I blame Disney and the scheduling for that. And I think that again the studio just panicked and they were like, oh, show them everything. And
Yeah.
it is what it is. But I look, I've enjoyed every new Star Wars they've ever given me.
Mm.
yeah, I mean,
Some more than others, but
well, yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
obviously, but I mean, we try to not going to like something if we don't like it, but there's always usually there's something you can find that you like about something. But so we do all that. We have that whole year, kind of the build up. And then we get the movie. Is that what you want to jump into next, Mike? Is like
Yeah.
going into the theater.
Yeah.
So
just kind of reminisce of our memories of seeing, and then yeah. So Josh, I mean, do you remember? Were
Oh, yeah.
you one of a midnight showing or whatever of the when it came out?
No, not even midnight. It was like a 6:30 p.m. matinee on the Thursday before or something.
Yeah.
And it was packed. And I remember, from the second that it a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away came out, people were just cheering nonstop. And it was like the energy was really high. And it was, it was when they talk about, the theater being like a communal experience watching a film together. That really was that, because people were, it was like a rock concert, a sporting event. People were reacting. I mean, the laughs were big. The gasps when Han Solo got it. Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm sure people maybe. I don't know. I remember walking out of there feeling like, oh my God, everybody loved this. Everybody loves this.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about going to the theater in a city too. Like I've never experienced going to our local theater really and having that sort of quite the same communal experience where people are cheering and stuff like that. Maybe once or twice, but there's something about like, I don't know, going to the movies in the theater in a city. I've certainly had experiences where it's just been packed and everybody's cheering and everybody's, I don't have those same experiences here, like in a small town. How about you, Jimmy? I mean,
yeah, Wichita, we had the IMAX, and so I went and saw that. This is back before you could buy your tickets online, but you couldn't save your seats.
Right.
So, I mean, I was in line, I think, at like 3:00 in the afternoon for a 6:30 showing. And you just sat and you just talked with people. And I just remember the excitement. And, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think this movie had one of the bigger reactions. I can remember people hooting and hollering and cheering and being excited. It kind of reminded me of like Spider-Man after COVID kind of thing, where everyone was just freaking out. Everyone was happy to be back in the theaters, and I'm kind of hoping that that's what we get when we get Mando and Grogu. I don't have that same optimism, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Mike, the only movie I can think of that when we would go to the Ritz in Clearfield was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember never having to stand in line for our own local theater. Like we'd always, because Mike and I and Scott and and the rest of the crew we went to the movies a ton in high school. And the only time I ever remember like a really big like blowout was and having to stand all the way down to the old library was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first original movie.
Yeah, I can think of that and Batman '98 or Batman '89.
Yeah, Batman was one Batman for me. 89. I remember.
Yeah, because the guy who owned the Ritz, remember, he had the whole Batman get up, he had the costume and everything, and yeah, it was a huge event. But yeah, those two movies I can definitely remember being huge.
Alligators
like
in his basement.
Yep.
So.
When I grew up in, where I grew up in the North Side, we had a third run theater. Like, I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys,
Oh,
for the younger
Mhm.
folks watching, you would get
Dollar
like a movie
theater,
would come
yeah.
out, it would run for
Mhm.
like 3 to 5 months, then it would go to a second run theater for another 3 to 5 months, and then like almost a year later, it would come to this like third run theater where you would
Yeah.
pay significantly less,
Mhm.
and it would run as long as people would go. And
Yeah.
I remember that I think the people who ran the Bellevue Cinema, I mean, I think they like held on to films they weren't supposed to, because I remember them running on a weekend A New Hope, Empire, and Jedi each
Amazing.
weekend.
Yeah.
And so I could, it was less than a block from my house that I could go and
Mhm.
see
Oh, that'd be awesome.
movies, and it was cheap. And then of course, once I got into high school, my friends were behind the counter, they'd hook you up.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember Batman was one that had a raucous showing, and the other one, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Oh,
People went nuts for
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
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 Nice.
Yeah.
Skywalking Ryan says, I went to the first showing of the Thursday night premiere. We only had one trailer. Imagine that, one trailer before a movie.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
they're trying to plan out
Unheard of.
Avatar Fire and Ash, and it's 3 hours and 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to be in there for 4 hours.
Yeah. For real.
But he says, yeah, we all laughed and cried. It's such a great experience. It really is. Like, positive movie experiences. Like, that's why you go to the theaters, man. Like,
Mhm.
to be around that atmosphere.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything better. Like, there's nothing better than a movie in a theater.
Yeah.
Just, I love it. So,
Well, you all got to go on a Thursday, but I know I didn't go see the movie until Friday because I had a working man's life and, wasn't able to get out on a weekday. So I remember going on Thursday. And how many times did you guys go see it in that first week or 2 weeks?
I saw it at least 4 times in the first 3 days.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I don't remember, like, I don't know if I was I know I saw it twice in the first weekend. And I think I saw it at least 6 times in the theatrical run.
Yeah.
And I remember like a week before, like the week we thought it was all going to leave, I went back for just one more time seeing it. That one, I think it's definitely the one I've seen the most in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I saw it at least 4 times because I remember I went the first night, and after seeing it, after you saw it once, you had to go back and see it again. And then I remember talking with my brother about it because this was around the holidays and whatnot. Families are getting together, talking to my brother about it, and we had to go. We got both of our families together, and this is saying something that our wives went with just to see this movie.
Whoa!
Because that's just unheard of. They don't want to see the same crap that we watch. So, but it was an event. The whole families came together and went to see this, and we went to. With my brother, we went to the theater in Phillipsburg. They had the balcony, the upper balcony in that theater. It's the first time I'd ever gone to that theater and sat in the balcony up there. And just, that was just a nice memory, thinking back to great movie and in a cool theater and seeing it. But
Nice.
Yeah, my son didn't give a shit about Star Wars. Did not care. Like I tried introducing it when he was younger, and it didn't quite land. And then it was the Force Awakens, the like run up, the height, like experiencing like what it's like when a Star Wars movie comes out and it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Just, kind of captivated. When we ran through the original trilogy, then the prequels. He is OG. He's an original trilogy fan, more so than the prequels.
Good boy.
And just, went and had a great time with it. It was really awesome to get to share that with my kid.
Yeah.
How
old is he? How old is he when this came out?
Let's think. Let's do the math. 2015, right? Is when it came out. So that would have been, he would have just turned 14.
14. Perfect. Because at the end here, we're going to talk a little bit about, this next generation of Star Wars fans. And I mean, you definitely have a firsthand experience with that generation. So it'll be interesting when we get there. Chat a little bit about that. But
yeah, we took the high school swim team to it. I found out because we had this weird schedule that year because our schedule was like different all the time. For some reason, we had that Friday off.
Yeah.
So I gone that night with my buddy Tim, and I remember Tim's a big guy. Like, he's not a small dude, right? I mean, this guy is like 6 foot something. He's a big man. And we're sitting there, and he didn't wait in line. Like, I called him. I was like, hey, we got about an hour, and he showed up with about 30 minutes and got in line with me and pissed everybody off. But no one was going to say anything to him. So we got in there. We got really bad seats. I was super pissed. I remember being so mad because I was off on the side.
Yeah.
And I couldn't listen straight on. I was just like, oh. And I remember him. This is the last time he ever went to the IMAX or an opening night with me, because these guys beside me were like, if this doesn't have a crawl, I'm riding or something. Like, I'm burning this place. He's like, man, these nerds, these are next level. But the next day we took the high school boys. We had to meet that night too. So we took them in the afternoon, and I found out that they had stayed up all night watching the previous 6 movies.
Wow.
Finished right before we went to the theater. We went to the theater, and that started that tradition. We've been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
And a couple of those boys are now taking their team now, because it's no longer mine, and they're taking their boys to see Fire and Ash, I think next week or something like that, which is
That's
pretty
amazing.
cool. But just to get to experience it with those boys, like, they're all hyped up from all the Star Wars. And then I just kind of would every once in a while, because I'd already seen it, I think maybe twice by that point, because I think I went and saw it then, went and saw it at midnight, saw it with them, and then I went the next day with my buddy. I remember just watching them, watching their reactions and stuff, and it was a lot of fun, man. Like, I was like, that's why people have kids. I get it. I don't want any, but I see why people have kids. Like,
it's not all the good parts.
Just for now on, I don't have to have any kids of my own and deal with them at home and stuff. So it worked out well.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I mean, even the other thing too, I mean, I talking about taking, boys, the thing about Force Awakens that was really cool was that, Rey was the sort of the central hero in that game. I saw, like, young girls and even older girls, adult women, floored by seeing that kind of heroine in a Star Wars film, which it really did open things. I know how the discourse has shifted in the time since, but it doesn't matter what people our age or on YouTube or whatever think one way or another about Rey. It's the fact that there's these kids who they dress up like Rey, they go down to Disney, meet the characters. I mean, that's the thing that I think, I don't know, it warms my heart, because I remember how important, like, Luke Skywalker was to me. I never met my dad, and he didn't know his dad, and I was like, hey, I know what that's like. It was like, people can joke about it, but like, representation or connecting to a character on screen like that, it's really important. There is a thing about that that is very special. And so I was glad that these new characters spoke to kids mostly, but even older fans in a way that maybe the other characters hadn't before. That was also very cool about like what this new era ushered in.
I would agree with you 100%.
Oh yeah.
I say this all. It's so nice to see diversity in everything that we, do now. It's so weird to go back and watch shows from the 90s that, we all loved, and you see it with a different eye, and you realize, like, there are no people of color. It's just so weird. It's so glaring now that we're all woke and stuff.
Yeah, you're right, Mike, though, because you think about that too. Then it was a year later we got Rogue One, I think, and like that changed Star Wars. I mean, I teach a lesson about racism using Star Wars, like, just I give a little bit about Lucas, and I mean, he's married to a woman of color, so I'm like, he's probably not racist, or that's a weird relationship. But it's just what he had over there in England when he was filming all the time, and of course they cut it and stuff like that. But Charlie talked about on the main show, like, and we talked about it the week before, like, Rey is her character. She's 33, I think, but she would have been like, in her 20s when this came out, and she loves Princess Leia, and but they just never spoke to her the way Rey does, and she doesn't have that connection with Jin. So I think, and then you go to these Comic-Cons, you go to Celebration, all these little girls dressed like Rey from this movie. I don't think I've ever seen a Rey not from The Force Awakens. Like I don't know if I've ever seen like a little kid dressed up like, but always dressed up with the 3 little ponytails or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome to see that, you know, because that's the future of Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean,
So-
and not to like the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, they had elements of that. I mean, you know, Leia was a very unique character for the time, especially
Absolutely.
for this kind of fantasy. And
Mhm.
you know, Lando, there's you know,
Mhm.
my black friends growing up, there was no, you just couldn't understand the importance of like Lando
Yeah,
Calrissian,
absolutely.
especially in Jedi when he got to be the one to like blow up the Death Star. Like
Mhm.
that stuff was a big deal.
Yeah.
And you know, looking back now, like where I understand, like it's like, oh, was it enough? That's an argument for another time.
Yeah.
But it's always been kind of a part of Star Wars DNA. And I
Mhm.
think that it makes sense, and it's rewarding that it has kept on going that way. Because
Mhm.
the whole point of these, you know, again, the one we might have even said it the last time I was on, that the point of these movies is like they are for the kids. The original trilogy was for us as kids, and then the
Mhm.
prequels, we were free to enjoy them or not, but they were for the kids that
The next.
of that
Yep.
era.
Mhm.
And just like this one was for the kids of
Yep.
you know, 2015 and onward.
Mhm. And
And
I tell you,
I think you can see it. I'm sorry, Mike, just let me finish the thought.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I think the one thing that you can really that really sells that is that, you know, there are no prequel kids who are like, oh, I hate the original trilogy. And I'm sure that when the sequel kids in like 5 years, when they're grown up and they have their own channels and writing their own articles, none of them are going to be like, oh, I hate the original trilogy and the prequels. Like they're all Star Wars to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that, but there's always something special about your Star Wars.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you guys want to talk about some of your favorite moments from this movie?
absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Josh, why don't you start us off? I think probably keep it to like maybe 3 at the most moments and see how many we can get through. But yeah, like and it doesn't matter what order we go in. It's really
Sure.
hard. It's really hard to say this is my, you know, number one favorite, or, you know, this is more important than this. There's just so many good moments in this movie. Like I mean, we're obviously we all loved it. We're sitting here praising it. It's just so chock full of good scenes, good moments, and good stuff that I mean, none of us can go wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And it's
I
impossible to rank, but
I mean, I think so. Obviously, I think I'm gonna take the most obvious one was Han and Chewie busting into the Millennium Falcon.
mhm,
You know, saying Chewie, we're home. Like
sure,
that moment was, you know, if I think about it
heartwarming.
too hard, I'll start crying on the stream.
Yeah.
Um, it was just so great because it was something we never thought we would get to see. You know,
Mhm.
and so that, you know, I loved that element of it, and I loved that. So like that was fun. But honestly, the thing that I think was a little bit later on was the whole Rathar thing. The
Mhm.
Yeah.
thing with the like seeing Han talking to the two gangs and then the running away from the rat, like that was such a great Star Wars sequence. It was
Mhm.
so much fun. Um so yeah, that I think might be my favorite
Yeah.
like my favorite part of the film. The other thing I really loved was the Maz Kanata castle battle,
Yeah.
particularly when that John Williams resistance march comes in and the X-wings are coming across the
Oh, that
water.
scene is so amazing.
Yeah, it yeah, that was a great time. Um and then, you know, I wouldn't have said this 10 years ago, but now, especially knowing how it all ends, the scene with Han Solo and Kylo Ren when you reveal that you know, it's his son, and there's that,
Yeah.
you know, he takes him out, and Chewie's reaction, and
Mhm.
like that whole thing, like that. I mean, again, I knew that was going to happen going in, so
Mhm.
I wasn't like shocked or angry. I was able to just appreciate it for like sort of
Yeah.
the high drama of it, and you know, and I remember I knew he was gonna be killed. I don't think I knew about his name though. And when I realized his name was Ben, they named him after the guy who was the reason that they met. Was
Mhm.
just so subtly touching. Like it was it really was a home run for me. The
Yeah.
whole film, but like those three moments I think were really, they really had the kind of like high fantasy drama that I wanted
Yeah.
from a new Star Wars.
See, I didn't think anybody was going to pick that moment when Han Solo dies, and that's one of my top moments in this movie. And it's not that I'm cheering for our favorite character Han Solo to die, but
Jeez, Mike.
to your point, it is
Mhm.
such a moving moment. It really, really is. Like I know Jimmy, listen to the podcast today. You went on and on about Han Solo movies throughout this thing, and it's not a Han Solo movie because there's lots of other great scenes too. We had lots of other great character introductions and whatnot, but it was the swan song for Han. You know, like they gave him all these proper moments. You know, just hit it. I don't know, just gave him everything that he needed to say goodbye. You know, to say goodbye to the fan base, and I think it was about as perfect as you can do it. And to have him, like, I don't know if I knew going into this movie that Han Solo was going to die, but it didn't surprise me, and
Mhm.
it seemed right for this movie, honestly. Um, and just like like you said earlier, Jimmy, how great an actor he is. Probably the best actor, the most successful actor of out of all the Star Wars. You know what I mean? He took that fame and parlayed it into more than anybody else. But to see just his dying moments, like the way he emoted it, the way he, you know, you can almost see in there somewhere. There's a happiness that I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? He's like,
I'm
I
done
did
with
it.
the third
I
one.
did it. I'm done. I got what I wanted.
You know, I didn't, like, again, I didn't do spoilers, but I just never thought he was coming out of this movie alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this was been back my first marriage, and my ex-wife at the time, she was Han Solo or Harrison Ford's CSR at Flight Safety International here in Wichita. So
Hmm.
she got to see him twice a year, every year. And remember, the first time she saw him after this, she was so mad at him. She's like, "You died," and he's like, "I'm right here, man." But you know, yeah, it was a great scene. It's Skywalker and Ryan says Han's death had me in tears. Yeah, I just expected it. I think
Yeah.
I just did not see him coming out of this movie alive. Like, I don't know why. You know, I just had that feeling. So when he got the saber, I was like, "Oh, like, okay, like that makes
Hmm.
sense." But then I didn't think of the ramifications of it, though.
Yeah.
The ramifications being the fact that we're never going to see the big three together.
See,
And
I I'm totally okay with that. I
I am,
really am. I like we talked about this before. We didn't after Star Wars went away for a while. We didn't go to those books and get invested in that story. You know what I mean? So to me, at least, I didn't come into this movie necessarily. I didn't have any preconceived notions, to tell you the truth. I just wanted to see a good flick, and they nailed it. But I didn't need the big three to come back together and go on another adventure. What we got out of this movie with Han, we got he got to tell the end of his tale, and he ended it. That was perfect to me. And even in the next movie with Luke Skywalker dying, that was fine with me too. I'm not a fan of that movie, but they needed to kill off the big three. They really did. Like, we needed that opportunity to move forward. Now, I know it didn't work for a lot of people. A lot of people wanted more. They wanted the big three to come together and have another adventure. To me, I didn't need that. I'm happy with how that sort of thing transpired. I want to get on to more storytelling with these new characters. I'm glad. That's part of what the Force Awakens did so great. Was it still had those elements from the original movies, the things that really touched us. You know what I mean? It told the same story over again, essentially. It had all of our favorite characters, but it introduced new people for it, new characters for us. And, you know, as if those new characters are going to go forward, the old characters have to go. So, you know, I mean, honestly, the death of Han is, you know, a big, I don't want to say favorite for me, but yeah, a powerful scene.
It is. Mike is a little
Mike,
sadistic right now. Like,
Yep.
You're creeping me out,
I-
Mike.
Well, honestly, when you talk to me about movies, it is one of the reasons I'll say that I liked Rogue One is because everyone dies at the end. And part of the reason I like Game of Thrones is, you know, someone becomes your hero in the next episode, they're dead. So I do kind of like those endings. I don't know why. It's just good storytelling to me, I guess. But I like to see, you know, kill your darlings.
yeah.
I'm getting you for Christmas, Mike.
Well, at the risk of getting too pretentious here, I mean, I do think that there was, you know, Star Wars it's a connected narrative, but it is a narrative about legacy. You know, the prequels were about, you know, it sort of introduced the problems, and the original trilogy was the next generation cleaning up the mess of the generation that came before. And so this trilogy had to be about the new generation cleaning up the mess of the generation that came before, but they also didn't want to like undo the victory of Return of the Jedi. And
right.
You know, that they got what 25, 26 years of galactic peace. That's not bad. It's not a bad legacy. And it was, you know, none of our heroes' fault that fascism recurred, because that is a thing that sort of always happens. And I think the thing that made it, the two things, like I admit, you know, the fan in me, I am pissed that we didn't get one scene with all of them in the same frame.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But that, you know, we talk about fan service. That's what that would have been. That would have been just pure fan service. And I think that it makes the story that they told in the sequels, for better or worse, like it or not, but it fits that, what they were trying to do. You don't always get the sort of feel good moment, the you know, it's about like mistakes made, loss, things like that. So, you know, Han running off, Leia doing her thing, Luke going into hiding. That was the, you know, the generation that was supposed to be the big heroes. It showed them being fallible people. And you know, in our, you know, in my old age, I know I'm not you know, I can empathize with that. I can sympathize with that. That like, you know, the things that you try to do, the things that these big plans you have for yourself, they don't always come together that way. And I, you know, the idea that like, the thing that I love about Han is that he went to his kid and was ready to, you know, he made himself vulnerable, literally. And more so with Luke, but even with Han, when these characters die, they don't necessarily go away. You know, Kylo Ren does not get redeemed, which is what has to happen in a Star Wars story. The guy who goes dark side has to get redeemed. He doesn't get redeemed if he doesn't kill his dad and have that regret. And so, you know, I think that's what this story needed. And of course, we all want we want the end of Return of the Jedi all the time. The gang all together, you know, dancing with Ewoks in victory, happily ever after. And that's just, you know, it's not how life works.
No, and honestly, it'd be a boring movie. We all say we want that, but it'd be boring. You have to have this sort of thing.
Did a very creative. I just don't feel like. I mean, I'm fine with the story we got, right? Like, the story is fine. I totally agree. Like, it needed to be the next generation, but I would have liked it more handed off like halfway through the second movie or something. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm also not mad about, like, I know people were pissed about Solo. Like, he left his wife, and am I like, well, I mean, how many people were divorced in the United States? You know what I mean? Like, it's a fact of life. Like, this happens. And of course, like, when kids are involved, and you know what I mean? Like, kids break up marriages, you have something bad happen to a child or something like that. I don't want to say that out loud or anything like that, but like, that breaks up marriages all the time. So that made sense to me. Like, I'm not complaining about any of that. Like, I would have loved, you sit there and you think about like the new Ghostbusters movies, and it was really cheesy, but you got to have them all on screen again, even if one of them was a ghost. But I just would have liked, I don't know. Again, like Josh, just like you said, the story they told, that's how it had to happen. I think and I really like Force Awakens. Like, over these last couple of weeks, we've been talking about it a ton, and I'm super mad that it's not coming back out in theaters like I thought it would. But I still think there is a better story out there. If they had not rushed and been so worried about making money so quickly, I think they could have sat down, thought about it a little bit more, and we probably could have gotten this really good Baton handoff. Han still could have died, whatever, but we could have gotten a little bit, and that's neither here nor there, I guess. Like, so when I say like I really wanted the big three together, I did. I'm also fine with the movie as well. I just think that there's always more options out there, but it's just a little frustrating if I'm being perfectly honest about it. So
fair. I suppose you're allowed to have your opinion.
Thanks, man.
But let's talk about that for a second, though. Why isn't this being touted as the 10-year anniversary and being a re-release into theaters and whatnot? Is anybody like any insight into why? Like,
the only thing I can think of is that it is just a very weird time for theaters and the box office right now. I mean, first of all, with Fire and Ash coming out, Disney would essentially Disney would be competing with itself. I mean, that is a problem that it's faced quite often. I mean, in fact, if I don't remember
honestly, they're going to continue to face this problem too, because media is consolidating. They're constantly going to be competing with themselves because they own everything. But go on, Josh.
I mean, the thing is, I think that if you, again, I don't remember what came out alongside of it, but like part of the problem that Solo faced was that, 2 weeks before that, I think there was like a Marvel movie or there was some big Disney movie. And then like not 2-3 weeks after that, there was another one. And back in like the 2010s, I wrote about this a while back, but if you look at like from, 2008, 2009 to 2019, there's just like 10 record-breaking years for total global box office. Like, it was just more and more and more. And there is this sort of corporate culture now where they think that means that growth is always going to happen. Like, the idea that Avengers Endgame, it made more than $2 billion. The idea that like there's some movie that's going to make the $3 billion. I mean, maybe, but how? I mean, come on, it's
insane,
ridiculous. And then you add the pandemic, and then they did the streaming thing, and they pushed streaming super hard. And now you do have people that are like more inclined to watch it on streaming. I mean, when I took the family out to see Dune Part 2, it was myself, my mom, my kid, his boyfriend, and I think that was just us. But with 4 tickets and snacks, the total cost, and I even have the like movie club discount thing. The total cost was as much as I pay for all the streaming services for a month.
Right.
So, you take into the fact now that people have less disposable income, and entertainment is always the first thing that happens. Like, it's just a much different landscape. And plus, I don't think they even know why certain movies are going to be hits.
They definitely don't.
I mean, the idea that, like, again, to keep it on Marvel, like the Spider-Man one and the Deadpool and Wolverine, where all these old characters come back, that makes sense. Nostalgia, same reason with Force Awakens. It was we were going to see the old guys again. The nostalgia does play a big role. But I kind of lost my point there. But to circle back to your original question, I think just the fact that box office stuff is so weird right now, that's why they didn't re-release it on the anniversary, especially since since Force Awakens, December is now, it's no longer like for your quirky award movies
Right.
and your family films. It is
It's
now like
big movie December. Yeah.
It's the second
Christmas
blockbuster
movie.
period.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And did it all start with this essentially? Like, I know I went and saw Force Awakens around Christmas time, and I think I went and saw it on Christmas Day. And then the very next year I saw Rogue One on Christmas Day. You know, like I don't know. This seemed like it kicked it off. It kicked it off for me, at least. I mean,
it definitely changed the schedule for things when Harrison Ford broke his leg and then they had to they delayed it because I mean it was supposed to originally come out I believe in May because that was Star Wars time, and then they thought, oh hey, we can get this untapped area, and then they just kind of changed the format of movies. You have your summer blockbusters and you have your Christmas blockbusters.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. You know, I know that's why they do it. People have time, but like, you have a good movie, people are going to go see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, spread them out a little bit. I don't know, but like,
you're
right,
I mean,
like they're always going to be competing against themselves because I know that Solo ran up against, like you said, a Marvel movie, and I think one of the Daredevils was up. It was up against that too. So like, it just got sandwiched, and they decided not to move it or whatever. And you know, all these rumors is why and all this stuff, but. So.
Yeah, I mean that all makes sense. You know why they're not put. I don't know. You'd think at least a limited release and you'd celebrate it a little bit. You know, it's going to be in some theaters. It's going to make some money, I would think. And it just seems crazy not to celebrate this movie. But
I would probably go see this over Fire and Ash.
I would too, because I haven't seen Avatar Part 2 yet.
Well, that would make sense, but I mean, I'm planning how I'm going to go see it right after school. I'm over by the IMAX now where I'm working. So I'm like, well, you know, just got to set aside 4 hours.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm excited. Like I've seen the trailers and whatnot for Fire and Ash. It looks amazing. I don't know, like somehow Part 2 just slipped by me because
I'll be honest, I'm kind of ambivalent on the Avatar story, but it is unquestionably the best 3D experience.
When that came out, I went and saw it a couple of different times in IMAX 3D. It was amazing. And had the second one come out like 2 years later, I think I would have been on board and I would have saw 2 or 3. But it was a decade between releases, and it just kind of, you know, life happens. And
when you see it, you'd know why, though. Like the stuff that they did with the water, like they kind of
I do. I understand.
It was crazy. Yeah.
I'll eventually get to it. It's on.
There's
Disney
actually
Plus.
A couple times in Avatar 2 where I did the thing. It's 3D, and then I went because I was like following. And I was like, "Oh, you idiot! It's in front of you. It's a screen."
Nice. Man.
Well,
I thought. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say we did want to get into a little bit about what Josh brought up earlier in it. The younger generation. You know, we talk often about. Everybody has their Star Wars, you know, and we're getting to that point where 10 years ago, a lot of young people sat down and saw this movie, and the sequel trilogy became their Star Wars. So just wanted to have a little bit of a quick discussion about how we think these kids are going to take the franchise forward. And do these kids need like like we needed for the prequel era? Not necessarily these kids, but maybe others, you know, that are fans, not quite fans of the sequel trilogy. You know, we like them and whatnot, but do we need like a Clone Wars that kind of expands the universe and makes it a little more palatable for all of us that, you know, got lost in that crazy story of, you know, the second one and the third one?
Well, I think they kind of wrote themselves into a corner. And Josh, you can speak a little bit more to this, given your background and your daily job, but they didn't give themselves any space between these movies. Like it feels really jammed up to tell, you know, I know we're getting the, what's the book called? Legacy, I think. And it's Leia training Rey. We're getting that this summer, which I'm super excited for that book. Cause that whole, I know Rise of Skywalker wasn't a fan favorite, but the fact that she was a Jedi all that time, like that was awesome. Like I want more of that. Like I want her training with Luke and stuff. And you know, there might be some of that in there. Who knows? But or I guess he would be gone. But yeah, like I don't know if I think they do need it. personally, I feel like, I mean, we needed it for Revenge of the Sith, and that's some people. I mean, that's usually people's, in their top 3 films, even no matter what age you are, even if you didn't like the prequels, like you liked Revenge of the Sith because of what happens in it. But yeah, I think they need it. I don't know if we can get it though. Like, I just don't know where do you put that in? Like, these little windows that they gave us. I mean, does a year even pass? It doesn't feel like it half the
Doesn't
time.
seem like it.
So
you're right that the sequel trilogy is very unique in that the first one or the second one picks up literally where the second one ends. That was, I respect what they were going for there, and I think again, as someone who does love what The Last Jedi did, I think that was exactly the right call. I mean, if I had any sort of sequel trilogy complaints or suggestions about what they should have done to like rewrite it, it should have not been a trilogy. They should have just given up on the trilogy thing. If we'd have gotten 4, 5 movies, that I mean, the Rise of Skywalker, which I love, by the way, it was at least 2 movies in one.
Like that was really rushed.
And there was a year between the end of The Last Jedi and the start of Rise of Skywalker. And you're right, they didn't give themselves a big window for interstitial stories the way that the 2-3 years in between the other films did. I am baffled that there isn't some kind of Clone Wars like show, even if it is just a 2-3 season one like the Bad Batch or something like that takes place in between these films. I mean, that I think not only would it have kept sort of these characters in the conversation, I think it would have, like the Clone Wars did, given people maybe skeptical fans or fans where it didn't work so well for them a little bit more context with the characters. I mean, the romance between Anakin and Padme and the friendship between Obi-Wan and Anakin, like those things were really fleshed out in the Clone Wars. And so people who watch that go back and watch the prequel trilogy, and that context, that subtext is like there in their mind. And I think that the sequels really could have benefited from something like that. And even maybe a post Rise of Skywalker thing, like, a season or something that takes place after that. I mean, I know they don't want to step on whatever this next Rey movie is going to be, which I will say, a friend of mine, Maggie Lovett over at Collider, I think just today put out an interview with Daisy Ridley where she said that it's still in the process and they're just taking their time because they really want to get it right. Which, that's a thing that people complained about with the rushing the sequel trilogy. So, I think that's good news. Whether what the commitment is, how Disney feels about that, who's to say? But I think there is a lot more space for this era to be explored, and the legacy of the sequel trilogy will be defined by the kids it was for. In about 5 or so years, just like 15 or so years after the prequels, we will hear from those kids as adults. The thing that I think will be really interesting is how social media and sort of YouTube, which didn't exist in the prequel era, how that might influence the way people feel about it. And the fact that since the Rise of Skywalker, there really hasn't been anything in this era that kept the story alive in
definitely
so I don't know.
I could definitely see an animated series between the last 2. You could have some kind of, you can get some general, you could even bring Pride into it, or something like the beginning of Admiral Pride, because he's in the Shadows of the Sith book. You could come up with a character and just have these little skirmishes and just, I mean, basically Clone Wars all over again, and just have those characters growing together. I think it would do a lot for, and you have Rey training, I mean, it could basically just be Clone Wars 2.0 realistically, but
I'd love to have it.
They can make it, it's a year, but they can put as many stories in as they want, as long as they keep sort of the timeline vague. you know, it's supposed to be 3 years between the Clone Wars, and then you look at how much stuff happens in the Clone Wars show, like
A long
Yeah.
3
chart
years,
that
man.
timeline, and it's like,
Yeah.
No wonder he turned to the dark side. Be exhausted.
really,
Yeah.
no days off.
I'd love to have it just for the simple fact that what is coming up on Disney Plus as far as Star Wars is concerned. You know what I mean? Like there's no after Ahsoka season 2, which might be
Yeah.
delayed.
Oh yeah, you see that?
Yeah. It's a void. And I like looking forward to something, the next show, the next Star Wars show. It's a little scary now that there's nothing coming.
Well,
So
I almost wonder if that isn't a kind of stealth intentional thing, if they are sort of looking at the way, you know, the way things are in the discourse and the way fans talk about it, and plus how for a certain brand of YouTuber and commentator that where hating the new thing is a very viable business model. I almost wonder if they're not trying to like create a little absence, make the heart grow fonder in a way, because the other thing that's true is that Star Wars is never going to stop making money for Disney. They can never make another thing, and Star Wars will forever make money for whoever owns it.
Yeah.
Hell, I mean, we're about next year. We are going to get theatrical New Hope in theaters again, which I would have never thought was going to happen. But
yeah,
I'm all for.
Yeah,
Wait,
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm getting my bell bottoms ready.
I don't know. I may be looking more forward to that than I am Mando and Grogu. Maybe. And I'm really looking forward to Mando and Grogu. But
I mean, the thing that baffles me, why have we still not seen that celebration trailer? Everyone who wasn't there, like, why do we have nothing about? Look, Disney sent me today a what's coming to Disney in 2026, like the different press materials, and I clicked on the Mandalorian Grogu thing, and there are a couple images that I know were in that trailer, because like everyone else who wasn't at Celebration, I saw the grainy, super pixelated fan recording of the trailer.
Oh yeah, there was nothing really to that trailer.
Yeah.
It was just
I don't know, that whole hallway thing was pretty sick.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Fine. It looked like it was on a stage. You know what I mean? It was weird to me. Like I wasn't thrilled by what I saw. I mean, the action was good, but I was like, man, they have a lot of work to do to clean this up. There wasn't really, and then there was, I guess there was that that two-legged walker thing from the Clone Wars. That was all right. I haven't seen that since. Supposedly there's a new trailer coming with this Fire and Ash. So we'll see.
I thought that was they're gonna have a Star Wars one too.
Well, I've heard Doomsday, and I've heard Mando and Grogu as well. I mean, I heard Super Bowl.
I heard Super Bowl for Mando trailer.
Right. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that would make sense. That'd be good timing for it.
Yeah,
but
especially
either way,
that show.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
We talked about with Mando and Grogu I think it was last week, maybe, just about how the reach that show had, the way it connected with people that weren't necessarily Star Wars people. You know what I mean? And to put a trailer for that on the Super Bowl makes a whole lot of sense. You know what I mean? Like I said, Baby Yoda was everywhere. Like you got to get the normies involved too. And what better place? I mean, the Super Bowl still garners views from so many people. Like it's still one of the most viewed things out there. And it's not just from nerds.
Huge.
Yes.
That's right. When the Steelers are winning the Super Bowl,
Ginsburg.
And then the Super Bowl ends, and then Aaron Rodgers his uniform will just drop like Ben Kenobi's robes. He'll become a Force ghost. Look, I 10 years ago, Star Wars could get away with a teaser show and nothing, and maybe one or two trailers, and just let the anticipation sell the movie for itself. Same with Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel could get away with not revealing stuff, but in this particular climate, especially given the way people have soured on these things, because we get so much of this stuff that we love, people take it for granted. And I mean, I did not see the Mando trailer in high resolution like you did, Jimmy, but you know, I twinged it a little when you're like, it looks like it's on a set. Of course it's on a set. You know what I mean? Like, you look at A New Hope, that does not look like I mean, it looks like a set. It's just there is a thing that people have to do where they have to agree to like meet the movie halfway and suspend your disbelief. And I do think there is this shift that happened. I mean, talking about Baby Yoda, I remember in the run up to Mandalorian, everybody was talking about like, oh, it's so great. We're gonna get to see the Mandalorians fight each other and retake Mandalore and this and that and this and that. And that's not what we got because it was all about Baby Yoda. And then by the time they made season 3, they're like, all right, let's give them what they wanted. So we get the retaking of Mandalore, and everyone's like,
nobody wanted it.
Boo.
Yep.
I remember they're like, oh, Bo-Katan's gonna come back, and they did, and they're like, oh, boo, why's she here? Boo.
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know, there is, and I you know, again, people could feel how they want to feel, but if I were Disney, I would be putting out as much as I could about Doomsday, Mando and Grogu, because not showing the whole movie, but just getting people excited about this stuff again. Because, you know, it's like, personally, here's what I would do if I was Disney. I would, you know, in sort of the run up to Mandalorian and Grogu, Mandalorian's all 3 seasons plus Book of Boba Fett on ABC in prime time. You know what I mean? Because that one, that's like advertisement for the movie. You're letting more people get a chance to experience the characters. And then, as I wrote in that very contentious article where we found each other, if people have an association with these characters from these TV shows, they'll be more likely to make the jump to have that big screen experience where, you know, I'm excited for the Ryan Gosling X-Wing movie, obviously, but no one knows anything about it. Like, it's not going to it's going to be more, even Rogue One. People knew what was coming in Rogue One. It's stealing the Death Star plans. It's a thing we've been thinking about for 30 years. Solo was Han Solo as a kid that I don't know if any of us ever really thought about. And I think that's why there was a little bit of a lackluster interest in it, even though I think that movie is fantastic. It's such a good time.
No arguments here.
I love it.
So, you know, I think they really need to they need to understand that it is not 2015 anymore. They need to take a very proactive and maybe a little more humble approach to marketing these films, because the enthusiasm has waned because people take it for granted. They think, you know, probably rightfully that Star Wars will never end. Disney will make it until the heat death of the universe. But you know, I remember seeing it with Star Trek. Like, you know, I was so excited when Star Trek The Next Generation came out, because I was a kid going to the movies, loved it. And I was like, oh, we get more Star Trek. Then we got Deep Space Nine. Then we got Voyager. And then I remember Enterprise came out. And I remember when that came out, I was like, you know what? I'll catch the next one. And then there was the next one. You know, like, there is this element of taking stuff for granted that, you know, and I think that's why Marvel suffers, because they are the only feature film franchise that hasn't gone away since it started. So we're in a very interesting time for the fandom.
We certainly are.
And,
just to clarify, when I say that it didn't look great, the trailer, I remember in Chicago when we saw the Mandalorian walking through Navarro outpost, and people were complaining about that. Like, I thought that looked phenomenal. Like, I was like,
I didn't know people complained about that.
This clip, and then this one it's really hard to explain. It just didn't look finished or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
The action was great though. It kind of reminded me of like when Bo-Katan and Fennec Shand and what was Gina Carano's character? They had
Cara Dune.
Yeah, they went storming through that ship together. It kind of reminded me of that, like him or episode 3 of the Mando, which was still my favorite. Him just laying waste. But there's just something weird about it. I don't know. It was great to see. Like, I was super excited when we saw it. It just was like, something's weird.
Well, people are down on the volume now. I mean, the volume is like a miracle of visual effects technology. Like, you can, and it's this thing. Like, I'm reminded actually of the prequel complaints when people were like, oh, all that CGI, and like they thought that like the sets and the exteriors and stuff were CGI, and they're not. They were all miniatures that were just, and so I think there is this thing where for some reason, like, people are down on the, like, I wish I understood it. Why?
I think some of the directors really understand how to use the volume. I don't want to get too back here, but I feel like some of them do not know how to use the volume.
Yeah.
Like, there's scenes you're like, and then there's scenes I'm like, oh, that's definitely outside somewhere on a cool set, and they're like, oh
nope.
No, that's
yeah, I think we've seen that as some of these series have progressed. They've gotten better and better at it, but yeah, it still can be a miss sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, I think we hit what we came here to do, right?
I have one last question.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Can we get back? And we've talked about this at length on this show. Charlie and I have talked about it a bunch of times. With the new Rey stuff coming out, or if it does come out, is we had all this potential, and I mean, it sounds like the three of us are fine with Rey. Like, we don't have any of those complaints that a lot of people have, even though she's exactly like Luke Skywalker, but whatever, she's a woman, so she shouldn't be powerful in the Force or whatever. Yeah. But can we get back to where, like, she is the hero? Like, can we? Do you think that they can write that story?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, these next three, like, can we get excited for her and everyone? I mean, is there going to be a time where we see Rey and we see Luke Skywalker on the same, not everyone's ever going to do that, but like, we see them on the same level with these new. If we get that Simon Kinberg trilogy or Obaid Chinoid movie.
To me, it's a hard question to answer because I don't understand why anybody has a problem with Rey. I think she's a magnificent character. I think Daisy Ridley is an amazing actor, and I have no problem with her whatsoever. I want more of her story. I want more storytelling with Rey. So I can't say I don't know what's wrong with other people. Like, she's already on Luke Skywalker level with me. I mean,
nice.
I mean, I don't know how the comments will feel about this, but it's sexism. It's just the fact that,
absolutely.
It's like you said, you don't like the fact that she's someone who is like, you don't like this character who is an expert pilot, even though they have no like specific pilot background, is able to naturally use Force powers, some of which we didn't know exist before the movie started, and is able to hold their own in a lightsaber fight with a well-trained Force user without proper training. I mean, that's Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker rode dirt bikes and then flew a fighter jet, and then in Empire Strikes Back, like, when he's hanging upside down and does grabs the lightsaber, there was no Force telekinesis before that. I mean, there was the Force choke, which maybe you could extrapolate, but so I don't know. And then, of course, Luke gets a lightsaber after his is destroyed. How did he build a lightsaber? Right. There's so many ways you could tear apart the original trilogy, the way that they go at the sequel trilogy. I think the one problem is that kids who grew up with, they don't understand what it was like to wait literally 25 years to find out what the hell the Clone Wars was. Yep. You know what I mean? I remember there was some, after The Last Jedi, someone made like a fake fan poster about like the movie that they should have made, and it was all satirical. But my favorite thing was, in the background there was Snoke with like one of those old overhead projectors, and on the screen was like my backstory. Like, it was so silly. I do think that, because think about it, when I was a kid, I remember loving Return of the Jedi, and everyone telling me Return of the Jedi sucked because Boba Fett died and Ewoks were stupid teddy bears for babies. And then the prequels came out, and then all of a sudden it's the Holy Trilogy. And then the sequels come out, and it's like, oh, the prequels are, the George Lucas Star Wars are all great. So, when this Rey movie comes out, especially if these, the sequel kids grow up and the legacy thing stays the same, there will be people who'll be like, oh, this new Rey movie, they don't get it right like they did in the sequels.
Yep.
Oh, the jokes in this aren't funny like They Fly Now was. Like, it's, it is a thing that always happens. Like whether it's fans coming to acceptance, like going through the stages of grief and getting to acceptance that these are the Star Wars movies we have, or whatever the phenomenon is. But I imagine, will there be another moment like the Black Friday teaser where everybody is locked in and optimistic? I don't know. I don't know if we can get back there, but that I think speaks more to the culture around movies and fandom and entertainment.
It's changed so much.
More so. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, again, there are people whose entire business model is hating whatever the new thing is.
Well, did you read that article with Leslie Headland when she gave, she basically said, like,
I only read articles I write. No.
Fair enough.
I absolutely read that, and I agree with her. I absolutely do, because she also, I watched a bunch and listened to a bunch of interviews with her before The Acolyte, and she is a nerd. Like, she knew stuff that even I was like, wait, who's that? So I'm sure that there is her read on it is perhaps more personal and affected that way. But I don't think that she's like out of line or that it's preposterous. I mean, especially because I remember watching it as it was happening. Like, I just did not understand how this narrative about The Acolyte took hold in the way that it did. I mean, my only critique about sort of The Acolyte, and it has to do with a lot of Star Wars storytelling, from Obi-Wan, the way they handled Reva, to, a couple of the shows, is that they do what I call cards down storytelling, where they don't, if The Acolyte had been a chronological story, if we had seen it from the beginning sort of to the end that way, I think it might have been better received, because there's an impatience that happens. Well, look, I'm not going to say that, but they are impatient. They aren't willing to like look for subtext, look for things that are set up. It's like, especially fans who grew up with all this canon lore that we have, where they didn't have to imagine what Obi-Wan and Darth Vader's fight on a volcano look like. I think that the downside of having all this Star Wars is that some of the fans have lost the ability to like make the connections themselves. Like, they want it all on a plate in front of them, like Snoke with the overhead saying my backstory.
Well, that said, I think we could talk for another hour at least on wide-ranging topics, but some of us have to go deliver Christmas tomorrow, so we're gonna have to cut it there.
Oh, you're doing the Lord's work. One last thing on the way out.
Doing Santa's
I
work.
will say this: the Force Awakens soundtrack, John Williams cooked so cleanly with that. Like, it might be my favorite single soundtrack. I don't know, but I think that doesn't get enough appreciation. How wonderful that first soundtrack was. Like, I remember listening to it just over and over and over and over again.
Yes. Yeah, it is really good. I find myself listening to Ray's theme a ton. Like, it just kind of like, it
even sounds like a Christmas song.
There you go.
Perfect
All right,
for the holidays.
Josh, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure.
We hope you and your family have a great holiday season. Mike, good luck being Santa's little helper.
Yeah, not helper. I am Santa Claus.
Don't say that out loud. So, all right, guys. Great talk.
Yes.